General Hospital spoilers tease that the upcoming episodes will showcase Josslyn grappling with grief, anger, and a thirst for vengeance that sets her on a dangerous and morally ambiguous path. This storyline delves deeply into her transformation, fueled by new information and growing tensions surrounding Dex's untimely death. The layers of this drama promise to deliver emotional depth, heightened stakes, and a harrowing exploration of justice versus revenge. The story begins with Jason delivering a pivotal piece of information to Josslyn, setting the stage for her descent into darkness. Jason reveals that the autopsy results on Dex's death have been finalized, uncovering a chilling fact: Dex was poisoned. This method of murder is disturbingly similar to how Sam lost her life, a connection that shocks Josslyn and reignites her anger. The confirmation of poison raises more questions than answers, leaving Josslyn desperate to uncover the identity of the killer. Her frustration grows as Jason admits he doesn't yet have definitive proof of who is responsible. This lack of clarity feels unbearable for Josslyn, who views every second without justice as a betrayal to Dex's memory. Jason, while equally invested in finding the truth, takes a more measured approach. He understands Josslyn's anguish, having experienced his own turmoil after Sam's death, but he urges her to remain patient. Jason tells her that he suspects Cyrus might be the mastermind behind Dex's murder, though he admits there's no concrete evidence to back this theory. His suspicions stem from Cyrus's shady presence in Port Charles and his known history of eliminating threats with ruthless efficiency. However, Jason warns Josslyn against jumping to conclusions or taking matters into her own hands. He insists that justice must be served through proper legal channels, a stance rooted in his own struggles to balance vengeance with moral responsibility. Josslyn listens to Jason's words, but cannot shake the storm brewing inside her. Her grief for Dex is raw and unrelenting, magnified by the parallels to Sam's tragic end. The thought that the same person who took Sam away might also be responsible for Dex's death pushes Josslyn further toward the edge. She begins to obsess over the connections between the two cases, piecing together a narrative that points squarely at Cyrus. Her memories of Dex's final days come into sharper focus, particularly a critical encounter between Dex and Cyrus at the hospital. Dex had approached Cyrus to question his presence near Lulu's room, a seemingly innocuous moment that now takes on sinister implications. Josslyn reasons that Cyrus must have felt threatened by Dex's curiosity, fearing that Dex might uncover the truth about Sam's murder. To Josslyn, the logic is inescapable. Cyrus killed Dex to silence him before he could connect the dots. As these thoughts consume her, Josslyn begins to develop a grim resolve. The idea of killing Cyrus first emerges as a fleeting notion, a desperate fantasy born of her anger and grief. But the more she dwells on it, the more it solidifies into a concrete plan. Josslyn convinces herself that eliminating Cyrus is not just an act of vengeance, but a necessary step to protect others. She believes that as long as Cyrus remains free, no one in Port Charles is truly safe. This conviction drives her to begin gathering information about Cyrus's habits, routines, and potential vulnerabilities, all while carefully hiding her intentions from those around her. Josslyn's transformation is both heartbreaking and compelling. She was once a bright, hopeful young woman, but the loss of Dex has stripped her of innocence and left her hardened. Her internal struggle is palpable as she grapples with the moral implications of her plan. On one hand, she sees herself as a hero, willing to make the ultimate sacrifice to protect her loved ones and avenge Dex. On the other hand, the thought of taking a life weighs heavily on her conscience, creating a tension that adds depth to her character. Memories of Dex provide both motivation and hesitation. She recalls his laughter, his kindness, and the dreams they shared, moments that both fuel her anger and remind her of the person she used to be. Jason, meanwhile, becomes increasingly concerned about Josslyn's state of mind. He notices the shift in her demeanor, the fire in her eyes that once reflected her determination now seems dangerously close to burning out of control. Jason tries to reach her, sharing his own experiences with loss and revenge in an effort to guide her away from the path she's considering. He reminds her of the cost of vengeance, not just to the victim, but to the person seeking it. Jason's words are heartfelt, but they fail to penetrate the wall Josslyn has built around herself. Her resolve is unshakable, and she begins to view Jason's advice as a hindrance rather than a help. As Josslyn's plan takes shape, she becomes increasingly isolated. She pulls away from her friends and family, fearing that they might discover her intentions and try to stop her. This isolation only deepens her obsession, leaving her with little to anchor her back to reality. The weight of her decision begins to take a toll on her mental and emotional health, but Josslyn pushes through, convinced that the ends justify the means. Her once vibrant personality is overshadowed by a cold, calculating determination that surprises even herself. The tension reaches a boiling point as Josslyn prepares to confront Cyrus. She meticulously plans every detail, from how she'll approach him to how she'll ensure there's no evidence left behind. The act itself becomes an obsession, a single-minded goal that eclipses everything else in her life. But as the moment approaches, doubts creep in. Josslyn is forced to confront the reality of what she's about to do, the irrevocable nature of taking a life, and the consequences that will inevitably follow. These doubts create a powerful internal conflict, one that adds layers of complexity to her character and keeps viewers on the edge of their seats. When Josslyn finally comes face-to-face with Cyrus, the confrontation is charged with emotion and tension. She confronts him with the full force of her anger, laying out the evidence she's pieced together and accusing him of Dex's murder. Cyrus, ever the manipulative adversary, denies her claims with a calmness that only infuriates Josslyn further. The power dynamic shifts as Josslyn realizes that, despite her preparations, she may not be as in control as she thought. This moment of vulnerability adds a humanizing element to her character, reminding viewers of the young woman beneath the rage. Whether Josslyn follows through with her plan or is stopped at the last moment, the fallout from this confrontation promises to be explosive. Her actions, regardless of the outcome, will have far-reaching consequences for her relationships, her future, and her own sense of self. The question of whether justice can ever truly be served, and at what cost, lingers over the storyline, providing a poignant commentary on the complexities of grief and revenge. As these events unfold, the residents of Port Charles find themselves drawn into the ripple effects of Josslyn's decisions. Jason, in particular, will grapple with feelings of guilt and failure, questioning whether he could have done more to save Josslyn from herself. The broader implications of her actions will undoubtedly shape the narrative moving forward, leaving viewers eager to see how this chapter in Josslyn's journey concludes. In the end, Josslyn's story is a powerful exploration of the human capacity for both resilience and destruction. It highlights the lengths to which grief can drive a person and the thin line between justice and revenge. Her journey is one of transformation, marked by moments of strength, vulnerability, and profound moral complexity. The drama promises to leave a lasting impact, not only on the characters, but also on the audience, who will undoubtedly be left questioning what they would do in her place.